and Sebastian Job are getting very close to winning almost every race.
Yeah, I was going to say this. I said 9 races earlier on. I'm a little bit less convinced now.
Yeah.
I will say it is a 99th race from Marcel Cinchik. Next one's 100 for him as well.
Well, very nice. We're getting all the milestones today here at the Hockenheimring. As I say, it is race 5 here of ESL R1's debut at the Esports World Cup. And Sebastian Job is on pole for the 4th time in a row. Can he take a record-breaking 4th win in a row? We've never seen consecutive winning done on a scale like this before, but Sebastian Job could be about to make history here at the Hockenheimring. Race 5 of the afternoon is about to get underway. The lights go out and we are racing again as Max Benneker is the one who's making the moves first off. He looked up the inside initially. He slots back in with everybody else afterwards. Sebastian Job leads Conan Jr., followed by Luke Bennett and Marcel Cinchik, who battle side by side into the first, at the end of the first sector.
Just remember again, as Dara McCormack slightly gets into the rear end of Marcel Cinchik, a victory here will put Sebastian Job into finalist mode. Next circuit is Monza as well. Wasn't that a circuit he did the triple on?
Can't remember.
I think so. We'll have to double check. I don't have that one written down. He's done some impressive things around Monza as well. Here comes the defensive line from Max Benneker as well as he tries to fend off Thomas Taylor. He's squeezing him back over. What was that move back over? And it's chaos.
It's chaos, carnage. Darren McCormack's around. Josh Rogers is trying to make up the most places out of all of this as Max Benneker tries to get back to 5th position. We'll have to see that one again because there was so much going on there. It was 4 wide into the hairpin. Here we go again into turn 6. They're all just about making their way through. Max Benneker comes out on top. He's 5th ahead of Josh Rogers, allowing the front 4 to get away.
And this is important as well. Look at the gap between Max Benneker and Marcel Cinchik. The reason why I say that is 1.5 seconds, or 1.3 seconds really. Kevin Siggy needs 4th place to get into finalist mode. He's currently in 7th. And even if he gets up to the front of this train, there is too large of a gap realistically between himself and Cinchik. That could be potential problems for him to grab himself a finalist mode entry.
And could you imagine Luke Bennett, his teammate, could be the man to prevent Sebastian Job from getting finalist mode at the end of this? That's a storyline that could play out over the course of the next 9 laps. Kevin Ellis Jr. and Marcel Cinchik are also there. Through the opening corner they go. Max Benneker leading the train. Darren McCormack, the only driver not a part of a train at the moment. He was spun around at the hairpin. We'll need to see it again, as I say, but it didn't look like there was a lot he could have done about it.
It does seem as though he was in the middle. Again, we'll have to take a good look at it. It did seem as though there was a lot of I'm coming through, no, I'm coming through, no, I'm coming through, no, I'm coming through. And Josh Rogers has once again snuck his way up the field into 6th place as he closes up to the rear end of Max Benneker. Someone was at fault there. I don't want to be that guy, but it did seem as though at least one part of that was Max Benneker was moving straight back over in the braking zone as well.
We'll have
there was a little bit of that.
It did look like that, yeah. Thomas Tassler, of course, lost out a lot from that. He was attacking the top 5 positions on the way in there. Oh, dear. I think Josh Rogers a bit unsighted, went straight over the grass there and had to just back out of that one on the way down the hill there. Well, not really a hill, is it? But down to the braking zone. Sorry, into turn number 8. Through into the final sector they now go. Couple of seconds behind. This is what we're looking forward to. This is the replay. Pick the bands out of this one.
Yes, we needed to look back from that. So Dara McCormack has nothing he could do. He actually just gets punched from Siggy, who also could do nothing there.
Yeah, he was being pushed by Benneker.
Siggy got pushed by Benneker. Benneker moved. Rogers was firing it down the inside. He's the one that made it 4 wide in that. Benneker did move back over, like he did squeeze to the inside, but whether that was what instigated the incident, I do not know.
I think Benneker getting into the back of Siggy was the bit that pushed Dara around, actually.
100%, no, 100%.
But so, you know, he might land himself in trouble from 2 angles, actually. We'll see on that front at the end of the day, or the end of the race, excuse me. But yeah, that's not, I'm afraid, great. I mean, the one positive we can take as a neutral, or as neutrals, only one driver actually spun around, so we've actually still got a very good race on here with almost everybody involved. It's only Darren McCormack, unfortunately, who's fallen by the wayside, and even he is not that far behind.
Yeah, I mean, he's too far behind to really go and grab anything as we ride on board with the very, very loud Porsche of Joshua Rogers, right up into the slipstream once more of Max Benneker, and deep onto the brakes. A little bit too deep goes the likes of Luke Bennett as well, but once again, it is Sebastian Job who needs a victory here to grab himself the finalist mode. Would be the first driver to enter finalist mode, which does mean that he would take over the points lead.
Yes, it would. And that would be our second points lead change of the day. Right the way back from race 1 was our first one. We haven't seen one for a little while, but it would indeed be an exchange between teammates. On board we go with Marcel Chinchik, who is currently 9th place in the points alongside his Team Vitality teammate Yuri Toman. I've got to admit, this is not a great start for Team Vitality thinking about the next 3 days, because the Audi they weren't that positive about the Audi when I was chatting to them earlier, and they themselves haven't seemed to be on red-hot form today so far.
But the Audi is, technically speaking, the only other car that's won today.
What do you mean?
Well, it won the last chance qualifier. Oh. So, I mean, other than that, it's been Team Redline all the way. No, you're absolutely right. There are a few concerns there for Vitality, but their consistency and stuff when it comes to the Teams Championship, the difference between them and quite a few other squads. I mean, look, when you look at the likes of Vitality and Redline and stuff, you know, Commander, well, they're basically Typhoon. They've got strong drivers as a quartet that work well together. Right, that's the important bit with something like Vitality. So we'll have to wait and see. Then again, when you do look at the likes of Redline, of Porsche Commander, of Williams and stuff, they also have a quartet of very strong drivers, as does pretty much everyone. So it's a moot point.
We'll talk a bit about teams tomorrow, but Williams have actually got one of those teams who drive endurance races together and everything, and that they'll be very, very, very familiar with one another.
And do you know what the fun fact about that team is?
Go on.
Everyone's name starts with D.
Yeah, I did notice.
It's weird,
I was writing some notes down there.
I think it's a requirement.
That's why Kuba Brzezinski and Nikodem Wisniewski don't drive for them anymore.
They were sacked because they didn't start with. That's interesting.
It's I'm not saying it's true, but you know it might be. So we'll investigate that later. On board with Kevin Siggy. Now let's get serious for a second. 7th place for Kevin Siggy at the moment is not enough. That's plain and simple. He'd be 7 points away from finalist mode if the race were to end right now. We talk all the time about drivers who just fall short. And I said earlier, it would have to be his worst result of the day so far. And at the moment, he's having his worst result of the day so far.
Indeed. Well, out through the final turn, it is still going to be the lead for Sebastian Job. Looking back from Kevin Ellis Jr., Luke Bennett sat behind. Bit of a slide going into T1. Marcel Chinchik's on the hunt in the background, and remember for Marcel Chinchik as well, this is where he took his first and only victory in a round, of course, and that was what pushed him into the spring season major, and obviously where he went on to take victory, and it was a victory here which turned things around for him.
I think it was round 8, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
Gave him that momentum going into Munich, which maybe in hindsight helped him. Although we didn't know him we didn't know it at the time. Here's Luke Bennett getting relatively close to Kevin Ellis Jr., although not that close, really. Sebastian Job is looking very good here for another race win. As I said before, winning on a scale we've never seen before in ESL R1. Never had 4 in a row. So some candidates for 3 in a row. Even at LAN events, actually, the likes of James Baldwin and Darren McCormack did a lot of stringing together of wins. Although I'm not sure Darren quite got to 3.
He did 2 on the bounce, but never 3.
James did 3, I think, in a row after that.
Correct.
So we have seen this in LAN before. However, Sebastian Job is about to break a record across online and LAN events. This could be quite something indeed if he can hold on for these last 5 laps. And wow, I can scarcely believe it, really. 4 in a row is rocketing him up right the way through the standings, right from 7th, let's not forget, where he started the day.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, look, like you say, it's crazy to enter unknown territory here at such a high event, such a prestigious event. But Sebastian Job is the kind of driver who rises to it. Do remember in Gamers 8 last year, though, okay, this is the fun bit from last year, how we did it with the Drivers' Championships. Effectively, we took all 48 drivers, split them off into 12 different groups, and basically the top 3 from each group then ended up going through into the final day. Sebastian Job, shockingly, was not one of them. He did not get into the final. Although I will say one thing about him. He's taken the lead, or he could be taking the lead of the points here. He is also now the leader, once again, of the highest percentage of victories. He has taken that one back from Josh Rogers.
They do often
flip-flop
a little bit between the two of them. Did you know, by the way, Luke Bennett also didn't make the... Well, of course you did know.
Yeah, I did.
He did. So
I've got it on a spreadsheet right here.
Exactly, yeah. Two different drivers you'd expect to see in the final last year didn't make it, but it was a very harsh start to the event last year. And we immediately got rid of 36 drivers and said, see you later, you're not part of the Drivers' Championship anymore. This, of course, has been set by the regular season. The top 9 in points from those 3 Drivers' Championship rounds were immediately locked in to this Drivers' Championship final. And then, as we said before, the 3 winners, or the top 3 from the last chance race we had before our broadcast here this afternoon, was able to go through and join the other 9. Those, of course, being Johan Tumas Tatala and Keke Oliveira, who are both, or all, out there on the circuit with everybody else at the moment. We'll get the full complement of 48 tomorrow. Out of the final corner again, 4 laps to go. Not a lot of pressure here for the race leader. No,
Sebastian J's been able to pull out 7/10 of a second. At the moment, he's looking for his 27th victory in ESL R1, would mean that he's won 36.5% of the races that he's done in ESL. That is, honestly, that is absolutely crazy. He has the highest number of top 6s of everyone. And the reason why we say top 6s is normally throughout the season, obviously it's halfway in the field, but normally throughout the season, you want to be in the top 6 to move into the next race. That's normally how we play it. So top 6 is kind of like the important bit. So for him to have the highest potential, that shows how consistent he's been, and then to have the highest percentage of race victories as well. Obviously, it's not the highest amount of race victories. He still needs to take 10 more to go ahead of Josh Rogers in that stat. He's got 27, Josh Rogers has 36.
Outrageous, that is. And I don't want to say this is sort of a coming of age for Sebastian Joe, because he's successful, and we know that, but he is 24 years of age now. He's been winning for a long time, but it feels to me as if this is very much one of the most mature, consistently dominant, just destructive drives we've ever seen from Sebastian Joe. Even though, as I say, we've seen success from him before. He's got 2 iRacing World titles in the last half-decade. He's maturing clearly on the circuit. He's getting quicker, which is a scary thought for everybody else. And at the moment, he is cruising. 3 laps to go, 8/10 of a second, 9/10 of a second.
And the second of those iRacing World Champs, of course, the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup this year. To say he was dominant in it would be a slight understatement. He was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, for a season that normally has a close finale, it actually wasn't very close.
It was not close at all. He was absolutely phenomenal. And like you say, pulling out that kind of margin out 1 second. He is obviously at the point, again, this victory will give him finalist mode. That's why we talk about it so highly. Kevin Siggy needs to gain 3 place. He needs to get up to 4th position. He's only really, though, a 1.5 seconds away. There is Siggy. He's only a 1.5 seconds away from finalist mode himself. There's a lot of work and a lot of effort between him and that. And I will tell you, Josh Rogers will fight him hard to stop him from going through.
First of all, Josh Rogers needs the positions himself, because as things stand, he can't even get into the finalist mode next race if he stays where he is. But also, Kevin Siggy will be prevented by Josh Rogers if the Australian has anything to say about it. Round the outside for the Slovenian. Does he have the purchase off the corner, though? He's up over the curb, sliding about a bit. Don't think the exit was quite good enough, but he will remain there. And if he can get down the inside, down at turn number 8, it could be Kevin Siggy's 6th place to get. Here he goes, on the brakes again, up over the curb, sliding again, but Josh Rogers hangs on, round the outside, into the final sector they'll go. Siggy's first attack ends in failure.
No, but again, to be fair, those two were doing the same thing in the previous race, where they were battling time and time again, and it never really worked out. But this time, you got a little bit more in favour that potentially Josh Rogers might have to settle with the position behind Kevin Siggy. He'll be very desperate to get his way through. Like I say, at the moment, Kevin Siggy is not entering finalist mode. It would be his worst result as a day of as you've said. Josh Rogers, if he wants to get into finalist mode in the next race, well, he's got to do a lot of work, because he's got to work his way all the way up the order, because he's scoring 140 points, so we need 5 more. So we need to gain 2 more spots. So he also needs 4th. But the fact that there's 1.5 seconds now between Benneker and Rogers, it ain't happening for either of them.
Well, also, they can't both have it at the moment.
There is that.
You're right. That most previous battle has opened the gap to Max Benneker. That really is going to be the sticking point for Kevin Siggy, who is going to have his worst result of the day so far. But to say that that might be just 7th place is quite ridiculous, really. He may well be looking for this 6th position to finish in the top half all over again. There's Sebastian Job, and there's Luke Bennett. He's got past Kevin Ayres Jr. As meanwhile, Max Benneker's going down the inside. The champion here 1 year ago. He was having a look. He didn't quite go for it fully. He didn't commit, but he did show himself in the mirrors.
All 3 champions of ESL R1 then running in 4th, 5th and 6th position. It does look, though, as that we are going to be getting a 4th different champion of ESL R1. At the moment, it's looking like it might be Kevin Siggy or Sebastian Jobe, and my bet at the moment would be more towards Sebastian Jobe to take the Esports World Cup here and become a champion in ESL R1. That would be very impressive indeed for him. But there is a look at Max Benneker, the Gamers 8 champion of last year. He's not making any progress. He currently sits 4th in the points, but he's on 109. Remember, he needs to get to 170. That is so far down the road.
It is a long, long way away, but if you can keep preventing finalist mode drivers from winning, then you can keep getting it. But the problem is with this 9-race limit, you have to get there soonish because you're not going to win on points. You're going to have to be in finalist mode and you're going to have to win. I don't think anybody other than Kevin Siggy or Sebastian Jobe are going to win on points if we have no winner after 9 rounds. Into the final lap we go on race 5 of the Esports World Cup ESL R1 action here on day 1. It is Max Benneker you're currently riding on board with. Marcel Chinchik just up ahead in the Team Vitality Audi, and just up ahead of everybody, Sebastian Jobe stroking it home for another victory.
Yeah, indeed. He's doing a phenomenal job at the moment, and he's looking to dominate once more. The likelihood that this is going to turn into his 27th victory seems pretty much spot on and locked in, because let's be honest, even if Luke Bennett gets to him, surely Bennett's not going to go on the attack. I think he'd be pretty unpopular in that team if you were the one to deny your teammate finalist mode. Especially, that would be even worse. Could you imagine if he did that and then Sebastian Jobe went on to win the next race? I think there would be some serious heat within the in the Red Line camp, who actually do get along quite well as they head through the Mercedes Arena section. It's just another perfect drive as history is being made here.
It's an exhibition of driving from Sebastian Jobe, doing the job to perfection again. Into the final corner, or final sector, excuse me, they go. Luke Bennett can't catch. Kevin Ellis Jr. has fallen away a little bit and he's coming under pressure from Marcel Chinchik and Max Benneker, but none of that's going to matter. We're going to have a driver in finalist mode, and it's a driver who hasn't led the points all day long. His name is Sebastian Jobe, dominating in ESL R1 on a scale we've never seen before. A 4th consecutive race win for the very first time, and Sebastian Jobe gets there again. Race 5 at Hockenheim goes to him. Another display of destruction from the Team Redline driver, who is now in prime position to take this Drivers' Championship.
Shake of the head from Luke Bennett as well. There's Kevin Ellis Jr. who dropped down to 3rd. I think he might be a little bit disappointed with that, as he's going to have a little bit of a breather and potentially jump out of the rig just for a second. They'll get ready for the 6th race. There is Sebastian